Hey there, welcome. It's Deborah Atkinson, and you're listening to Flipping 50. Before we dive in today, I have some questions for you. It's a pop quiz. Here's the questions. They're easy, and you've got the answers. Number one, are you absolutely sure your strength training program is what you should be doing for the moment you're in right now? And have you confirmed by asking that what you're doing is based on research about women who are also in menopause with your hormones, your body composition, and your metabolism? And are you getting all the results that you want to from your exercise routine, especially if weight loss, or let's agree it's fat loss we want, is your number one goal? If you answer no to any of those, definitely if you answer no to all three of those, consider this your personal invitation to the Flipping 50 free masterclass June 9th. You can join at flipping50.com, Strength Now. And I'll put that link in the show notes and I'll talk about it again later. I'm Deborah Atkinson. You're listening to Flipping 50, where I address your top struggles and concerns, and I share what to eat, how to move, and how to change your mindset about what you eat and you move so that you can get the energy and the vitality that you want, need, and deserve, and maybe unlearn some of those things you learned 30 or 40 years ago that really just don't work and have been replaced by better science and better science about you and I. I've got a fantastic episode for you today. And under recovery is the topic of the day. So if you've ever asked, where's the tone? This is all about how under recovery kills muscle tone in menopause. So if you're exercising all the time, and specifically if you're also saying, and I barely eat, you've told me exactly why you're not seeing that muscle tone. But let's dive into why. First of all, you might have been led to believe that's exactly the thing to do. Here's the thing. Muscle tone in menopause is a common topic around these parts in this community. I like to discuss strength and measure body composition. But the first signs for you that your workouts aren't working or you need to start strength training is often a lack of muscle tone. You too? Well, I've got you. This episode is all about it. And here's a statement to remember. This is the mic drop for today. You can't overtrain, but you can under recover. If this topic is a little too near and dear to your heart or to your bowels, your short shorts or your bathing suit confidence, don't forget, June 9th, there's the upcoming Flipping 50 Masterclass. It's actually all about why we should be running toward gaining muscle instead of running from losing fat. So I'll put that link again in the show notes, flipping50.com/strength now. It's free. And if you get there and you hold on to your seat, you can ask me a question at the end. So I'm going to dive in. Rest. Let's talk about it. So, most of all, we're talking all about I need to work out. I'm working out more. I'm exercising more. Shouldn't I be seeing more progress? Those are the things that I hear. But what you're forgetting is number one, that rest is a very important component of fitness. But I've been learning and teaching fitness since 1984 as a profession, which means I eat it, I drink it all day, all night. My nightstand is piled high with books about kinesiology, physiology, and you name it. But in none of those where I learned it or I taught it until this last decade have I ever added to the 5 components of fitness, which are muscle strength, muscle endurance, body composition, cardiorespiratory fitness, and body composition, rest in recovery. We've totally left it off of that long list because those are the components that we measure. And it's very difficult, or it has been until this past decade, to measure recovery. When I wrote You Still Got It, Girl, the After 50 Fitness Formula for Women, the heart rate variability method that I wrote about is now easy to do with Aura rings and your Fitbit and the feedback that you get. But you're literally, when we do heart rate variability, unlike measuring your heartbeat and your heart rate per minute, we're measuring the space between each of those heartbeats. Geeky, right? But really, that leaves clues as to how well recovered you are. So, although resting heart rate often also changes when you're not quite recovered from exercise, your resting heart rate will tend to be a little bit higher than it normally is, or should, or could be. But what happens to heart rate variability is also a contributing factor that leaves another clue. You might think that if you were looking at it intuitively, that those spaces between beats are exactly the same. They are not, in fact. And the more variable they are, some are short and some are long, the better recovered you are. Interesting, right? So, when we look at heart rate variability and heart rate together, we have better facts. Now, you can do that, but here's the basics. You know when you wake up in the morning if you had a good night's sleep. So, above all, when we talk about rest, we're not just talking about having a little siesta, taking a rest between exercise, but we're talking about sleep. Get your ideal sleep quantity. Yours is different than mine. If menopause has kicked your sleep booty to out of the bedroom, you've got to deal with them. There are answers to those issues. And, a long time ago, I created a little tutorial, flipping50.com/sleep yourself skinny will get you a free book that takes you through what are those almost 24 things that you can be doing to increase your sleep. Magnesium, carbohydrates at dinner, maca, the timing of your workouts, the type of your workouts, your sleep hygiene, all of them. Exercise, and then the rest between sessions. So very important to consider. In consideration of all of your current stress load, you have to look at your exercise and should you or shouldn't you? Should you back off of your exercise and the workout plan because something hit the fan today? And often women don't do that. They carry on with their household chores and their work chores and their regular workouts and try to keep all the balls in the air, even when they're undergoing extra stressors. And then there's the rest that happens between sets. And quite often, that's the rest that people first think about. Just think about how much should I rest before doing that exercise again? But that's just one of the pieces of rest that you need to consider. So, if you have a low level of fitness and you're just starting or restarting, your workouts are about setting habits most of all. You may be able to do more frequent workouts. So, listen to this clearly. A beginner may be able to do 3 times a week, whereas as your intensity progresses, you'll need more recovery between those workouts, and you'll want to increase the recovery days, not the workout days. Also, not intuitive. But I will tell you this from experience over 37 years working with people, there's one biggest obstacle that has existed all of that time, and that is time. I don't have time to do it, or I perceive I don't have time to exercise. So often, finding that sweet spot of what's enough and what's not too much exercise also has to factor in, if it doesn't happen at all because you think I don't have time to do 3 times a week, so forget it, not doing any, Twice a week is actually the sweet spot for women in postmenopause. There is a greater energy expenditure overall in women who strength train twice a week compared to those who strength train 3 or 4 times a week. And that means they will have more enjoyment in their life and, more likely, more lean muscle tissue. So, more is not more. More is just tired. How about less exercise? That's not intuitive, right? You'll think that you're ready for more and more advanced, so you should work out more frequently. But no. A well planned exercise routine for anyone includes hard days, easy days, and recovery days. And as you get older, your life stressors compound your exercise stress. An additional recovery day is fitness boosting, not busting. So doing just more for more's sake will likely reduce your fitness, your results, and send you backwards. So what does your training week look like? And week, if you were looking at the show notes, you would know is in parentheses, quote unquote. Whether you use a literal 7-day week or you extend a training cycle to 9 days. And again, I talked about that in You Still Got It, Girl. That allows more optimal hard workouts coupled with optimal recovery. Whichever you do is up to you. Sometimes retired or not retired is the determinant. So if you're still working in the working world, operating on 7 days a week, it may be easier for you to say Mondays and Thursdays are my workout days instead of having a rotating schedule because so many other things are consistent that if you have a highly stressful day and a big workout lands on one of those days, that may just throw you under the bus instead of being optimal. Whereas if you have Mondays and Thursdays, and I just give those for examples, as your workout days pegged, it's easy to shift one day if you need to because something changes during a week. It's important that you realize your brain and your thoughts about what you need are limiting or can be a limiting factor in your training. If you have to have more training time, you in that case might set Monday, Wednesday, and Friday as your strength schedule. But here's how it would work. You'd only lift heavy on Monday and Friday, and you'd make Wednesday more of a functional kind of body weight with more rotation, more lateral flexion, more sports like movements, and very low resistance that vary the use of your body from your normal metabolism boosting basics. And let me tell you, there's nothing better than the basics for boosting your metabolism and keeping your injury rate really low. So there's rest. Let's talk about nutrition because when we talk about recovery, that's a big piece of it. So I want you to think about this: fuel instead of fast. For someone who exercises hard regularly or who's just very active, say summer months when you're golfing, or you're gardening, or you're hiking, or you're biking more, make sure that you are not skipping your quality calories or skimping on them or your carbohydrates. As for calories, even small changes can matter. You may need more than you're used to. So, first, women in menopause at odds with carbohydrates. Start there. Try a baked slice of sweet potato or half a banana with a smear of almond butter before your cardio or your HIIT workouts. Enjoy a simple protein shake with protein powder and coconut milk or oat milk instead of water because that's adding a little bit more fuel. These small changes to your calories and to your pre-workout fuel support a better workout and therefore better recovery. After a workout is the right time to put them back, that energy glycogen stores, so that you restore your source of energy for the rest of the day. Are you surprised I'm not talking about protein first? Well, it's coming. But carbohydrates is an area that I find for women who just aren't recovering from their exercise. They're feeling flat. It's not fun. And they're actually thinking, well, just exercise more frequently. they're making it worse. And I hope that's not you, listener. So let's think starchy carbs. Think about these: sweet potatoes, quinoa, gluten free soaked oats, those called overnight oats. And actually, if you eat them that way, they have a prebiotic effect. They're great for your gut bacteria and more green than ripe bananas. Those are great starchy carbs for someone who moves frequently. Sit down to lunch with a bowl of salmon and black beans and greens with a little sauce. If you have a smoothie, don't skip the carbs. Sweet potatoes are great in there as well. Aquafaba liquid, that's the liquid from a can of chickpeas, is also resistant starch. So if you don't love it sweet, you don't love to add fruit, fine, try the aquafaba liquid. Or cannoli beans. Those also work. Those are white kidney beans. Those are all appropriate if you don't like the sweet of fruit. Berries are always the lowest sugar, highest micronutrient fruit that you can use. Just don't make it a fruit smoothie. You're not going to lose weight eliminating carbs if you're truly on the move. I'm going to read that again. You are not going to lose weight by eliminating your carbs if you're truly on the move. In fact, you're more likely to halt your progress. If you're fit, but you're still fat and it doesn't seem to make sense, check on this one. So many women are being beyond confused about keto and fasting and think of carbs as the Antichrist. But if you're an athlete or you're a very active woman in midlife, start treating yourself like it at your meals. Protein is also key. You knew I was going to get there. Unless you're already working with a Flipping 50 fitness specialist, I'm going to guess that you're not eating enough protein. Here's enough: about a gram per pound of your ideal body weight. For women who want to lose weight and keep the muscle, this is crucial, and actually, they might even need more. So, if you are cutting your calories and you skimp on that protein, weight that you lose potentially is muscle. Losing a high percentage of muscle along with the fat that you lose doesn't bode well for your metabolism. And regain is much more likely. And weight regain is almost always 100% fat. That cycle, friends, doesn't work very well. So, do you want more? Remember next Wednesday. Every month on the second Wednesday, I do a special Flipping 50 Masterclass open to the public. Unlike those that are exclusively for our members, this is the science of fitness and menopause. And I've been doing those free ones once a month. And for a little while, I did them once a week. And I was crazy since 2013. It's still free, and it's rich in evidence based protocols and facts featuring you, females in midlife. Check this banner at flipping50.com for registration. The next one, as I record, is June 9th, and that's 4 p.m. Pacific. So join me. I'll target all the most frequently asked questions. So, a neglected part of nutrition in recovery is often forgotten, and that is digestion. How do you know if you're in what we call rest and digest mode? Well, read on. Signs you're not digesting well include bloating, constipation, gas, poor appetite, hormonal imbalances, general fatigue, headaches, blood sugar imbalances. So, what do you do? Well, try this: eliminate meals on repeat. You know what I mean. Like, you're lazy, you think. This is what I hear a lot. I'm lazy. I could eat the same thing every day. Or I'm not picky. I could eat the same thing every day. And, maybe you're thinking, I'm low maintenance. I'm easy. I'll eat the same thing every day. But that's really not a good thing. So be a little bit more high maintenance. You're going to have to plan ahead a little bit more. And I know those of you who, like me, may be living alone. Doing food prep on Sunday for yourself might be easy to make one batch of something and refrigerate and freeze and think you're done. But even I by myself make 2 or 3 main dishes so that I've got things for the fridge and for the freezer, but then I've got days where I'm alternating those foods. I've got a diverse amount of different vegetables, meats, and starchy veggies. And then the next week, I won't make those same recipes. So I'm getting a lot of diversity and variety. You need to do the same thing. Try also eliminating dairy, gluten, and wheat just for starters. And I know that may seem like, whoa, just for starters. Where else do we go? But those are some of the most inflammatory kinds of foods. They won't help you and they may be getting in the way by creating internal inflammation of your ideal energy, your ideal weight loss, and they may be showing up in digestion if you are experiencing that gas and bloating. Here's the other one. So, those of you that are endurance kinds of athletes enjoy going for long bike rides, you've got to avoid those gooey gels and bars. So, they may have once worked for you, but really, do they work now or do they kind of feel ugh? And even if they taste to you sticky sweet, not good, work on finding something that's a lot less sugar. And you want to make sure that if you're doing an endurance workout, going slow, you might be able to handle a little bit more higher in protein. But the harder you go, the more you need carbohydrates. And yet, women in menopause, listen carefully to this one. You don't want to be going hard and going long. Going long all by itself becomes a high intensity workout that causes more stress. So keep those really light, fuel for them, fuel during them, and fuel after them, and make sure you check with how do I feel? Do I feel like I could take a nap after this? It's probably actually a little bit too much. What else to try is a probiotic, a digestive enzyme that you take before meals, or sauerkraut. Just a couple forkfuls a few times a day before meals can actually help your gut significantly. During competitions or, say, long bike rides, I've used something called Atrantil. I've shared it with you before, but it is great for just carrying in your purse, beating the bloat. I used this during my last Ironman, and I didn't even think about how much good it did until I was done. And the next day, I thought I had zero, none, nada, no gut issues at all. So nothing. And during a 17-hour race or up to that, and trust me, I come close to getting my money's worth, that's a big deal. Your stomach is kind of on from the moment you jump in the water to do your swim. As soon as you get out, you're on the bike, you're trying to start eating and drinking. So you're fueling the entire time you're on a bike for 112 miles, then to get off and do a marathon. It's very unusual not to have some kind of gut issues. In fact, we plan for it. We think, okay, what am I going to do if it happens? I didn't have anything. It's the first and the only time I've taken Untitled during the race. Took it beforehand and I took a couple during the bike so that I was ready for the run. It worked like a charm. L-glutamine. L-glutamine is a powder, and you can add it to smoothies. Has tasteless, but it's awesome for helping to heal your gut. So when you eliminate those things that are sabotaging you, you also want to take the time to kind of heal and seal your gut. And bone broth or collagen protein that's made for the gut are also great. So the most important, though, in your recovery is stop, relax. Take 5 deep breaths before you eat. Sit down during a meal and then sit down after a meal. Maybe even rest for 15 or 20 minutes. Breathe deeply and avoid eating on the go, standing in the kitchen, in front of the refrigerator, talking on the phone, or doing anything else. That alone can help your gut issues. During activity, be a little bit more thoughtful about your fueling too. So, say you're hiking, sit down and enjoy the view to have that stash of seeds or nuts. And by the way, a high protein and a little bit higher in fat snack when you're doing low intensity all day activities like that is appropriate. You don't actually need those carbs during those kinds of workouts. Walking the golf course, chewing on sunflower seeds or jerky, instead of while you're walking between the holes, stop. So on the turn between your second round, go in, go to the restroom, sit down, let somebody play through if you need to. But sitting down and thinking consciously about what it is you're putting in your mouth, taking time to chew it, swallow it, all of those things will enhance your recovery by enhancing what it is you're putting in by choosing that thoughtfully and allowing it to digest thoroughly. All those things matter in your seeking fitness in menopause. It's the recovery that matters. So, time between workouts is the last thing that I'm going to talk about. And there is plenty of proof that adults over 40, and then definitely we can say over 50, require more recovery than they did. So it's you compared to younger you. Probably need a little bit more recovery. Yes, you can absolutely work as hard as you did. Remember where we started. Do you remember the quote? You can't overtrain, but you can under recover. There's actually not much research saying that you can't lift as heavy. Now, I don't mean that at 25, if you picked up 25-pound dumbbells and regularly did chest press with them, that at 75, you're still going to be doing the same. But if we looked at what percent of your maximum weight lift was 25 pounds at 20, and we looked at what's your percentage of your maximum ability to lift it at 75, you can still lift that heavily. So it's a relative number. And we're finding that in research more and more. Those people lifting at 50 and 60 and 70, and we have less research available for those who are in their 80s or 90s because it's going to be us. It's going to be you and I. So when we hurry up and get there, we'll be doing research. We will be the subjects in those studies, giving a better future to those people who are younger than us, telling them you don't have to slow down. And here's the facts. As an older adult, in your 50s, your 60s, your 70s, you need intense exercise more than someone who's 20 or 30 because they are at peak muscle mass. They have to work relatively far less hard than we do in order to get muscle or keep muscle. We need it more. Now, notice I did not say you need more. No, you need intense exercise more than they do. But more exercise prohibits intense exercise. Let that settle in. More exercise prohibits intense exercise because you will not be recovered. Fewer days a week of exercise, more days that are easy, in addition to those that are rest completely, not where you're on the couch, but where you're just an active person, no formal exercise, and days when you are working out hard. But there may be just 2 or 3 of those really hard days, and then the rest easy days and recovery completely rest days. Think about your own program related to that. And if you're curious about more information, June 9th, join me. It's coming up soon. It's Wednesday. It's at 4 p.m. Pacific. Be there live, and I guarantee you this one, I've been doing a strength training program workouts, talking about how you should work out, how you should recover, and what are the effects on your muscle and your fat and your bone every quarter. And these seats fill. So save yours. And if you really want to be there live, you got to get there early because there are a limited number of seats. So some will get turned away at the door, even though you're registered. That may mean you will get the replay, but you got to know this. We never know what's going to happen with technology. So while live will always work, recordings don't always play well. So I will put the link in the show note. And I would also love to hear from you. If you're not already in our Facebook Insiders group, I will put the link to that. That's in facebook.com/groups, Flipping 50 Insiders. And you can answer question or ask questions. I'll try to answer those. And that's where you can communicate with other women who are also in your same age and hormone status and metabolism so that we can support each other and know that you're making the best use of your time and your energy when it comes to exercise in midlife and menopause. What are you waiting for? Let's start flipping 50 today.